Oh yes, it's the midweek edition of Summit, and it's just 3 days to the rescheduled National Assembly and presidential elections. Don't forget that last Saturday, 16th February, was not to be, and 7 days has actually been added to the schedule of elections. We'll have the presidential elections come 23rd of February, presidential and the National Assembly election. Then that of the gubernatorial and state assembly elections will come a week after the originally scheduled time. Now it's coming up on the 9th of March. You're welcome to a fresh edition of our program. My name is Banji Busari. Again, Jumoke is not here. I don't know whether it's still the same weather that Professor Mahmoud Yakubu referred to in his reasons for rescheduling the election that have actually affected her. She's still not here today. Be sure that you're going to have a bumper package, a very good edition today. Today's edition is also dedicated to issues arising from the botched National Assembly and presidential elections. If every new day is a kind of an exposition, kind of revelations as to the things that went on the ground, the kind of things that went behind the scene that you and I were probably not privy of. But the two leading political parties have more or less inundated us with series of reasons why they felt the other party was actually working against the interest of Nigerians, that is trying to rig elections. And the accusations have been, it's like a ding-dong affair. From APC to PDP, from PDP to APC, from APC to PDP. You never see an end to it. And questions have been asked. Are we ready for a peaceful, free and fair and credible elections? Yes. That's why today I brought the king, somebody will be referred to as the one that symbolizes the analyst in Nigeria. President, Public Affairs Analyst of Nigeria. Yes, when I say President, Public Affairs Analyst of Nigeria, he is the one that symbolizes. His opinion can actually be relied upon, and somebody who has proven himself as a non-partisan, somebody who is deeply interested in the project called Nigeria. So he's deeply interested in the free, fair, credible, hitch-free elections come Saturday, 23rd February 2019. Join me in welcoming Mr. Ayo Baje.
Yes,
Oyoze. Thank you, Mr. Ayo Oyoze Baje.
Yeah.
That's President Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria. GPAN. Yeah. I mean, was there an election before you emerged?
Oh, of course. Definitely.
Or it was just a rule of the thumb? You represent us?
No, not that. We're in a democratic dispensation, and we will expect that as role models, we toe the line.
So you were constitutionally, duly elected?
Exactly so. So and as registered with the Corporate Affairs, this thing of Nigeria, CAC.
How long have you been in that position?
2 good years now.
2 years.
Yes.
How long is your tenure?
The tenure is 5 years.
Tenure is 5 years.
Yes.
Oh, good. So you have 3 more years.
Yes.
Can you go for a second time? No, are you constitutionally allowed to go for a second time?
One is allowed, although one will not say.
Personally, you may not want.
No.
Okay, 5 years time will be enough
for me. Yes.
For you to actually complete your agenda.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the issues. It's 3 days to the rescheduled election.
Yeah.
Professor Mahmoud Yakubu came out yesterday and said that he has achieved 95% of the card readers configuration.
Exactly.
And he has kept assuring Nigerians that this time around, INEC will get it right.
I listened to him too.
You listened to him too?
Yes.
He has also said that none of his commissioners is under any arrest.
He said so.
Against the speculations that is trending out there.
Yeah.
Now, what do you make of the World Press Conference that I actually had yesterday? on some of these issues?
Thank you very much. I think I want to begin this way. If you want to build a house, let's call that house democracy. It must be built on a very solid foundation. And that solid foundation is free, fair, credible, and acceptable, election.
Violence free too.
Very peaceful one that at least we meet global standards, where the votes of the electorate count at the end of the day. The wishes of the people, because democracy is about what? Government of the people, by the people, and meant for the people. So, all eyes are on INEC. Also, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the fellow who is the boss, the fellow on whose table, everything now stops. The box stops on his table. And for that postponement, you will recall that he had earlier assured Nigerians that there was not going to be any postponement. There was no reason whatsoever. But it was a rude shock for me as a person, for me too, someone who has registered to vote. Because if there was going to be any form of, alteration, any form of shifting the goalpost, we should have been, informed much earlier. I mean, Nigeria is a very complex country. Looking at all the nitty-gritty of conducting elections, whereby all the sensitive materials have to get to the polling units as at when due, and all the people are supposed to have been enlightened, be prepared for the election. And this is what we are supposed to do. The processes will be spelled out. So for INEC chairman to have announced or made that decision at 3 a.m. Just about 6 hours to the beginning or the commencement of the election.
Less than 6 hours, sir.
Yeah, less than 6 hours. I think it is not acceptable. I mean, it had 4 good years. INEC had 4 good years to prepare for this. Looking at it from the national interest, like I promised you, I think Nigerians, have not had the best, because in leadership, we are talking about between the leaders and the led majority, the key element is trust. That trust must not be violated. When you make any promise, you must make that sacrifice to fulfill the promise. When you violate that promise that you have made, of course, it leads to crisis. And that is why he has to undergo all these issues of daily press briefing to make sure that the electorate, Nigerians, those who are interested in what is going to happen on 23rd, are fully aware. They are kept at, abreast of what is really going to play out. He has made some explanations. Well, for us, we are watching and we are waiting. But the truth of the matter is this: the quest, the desire, the drive, for the electoral, process to be taking place in such a way that people will get elected. We question some of them because, as you have seen clearly now, it is a dogfight, between the APC and the PDP. There are allegations and counter-allegations. It's a ping-pong game, and we ask ourselves, why all this? And I'm somebody that I used to say, when you have problems that keep persisting, when you have problems that look seemingly daunting, what do? We approach it with what we call critical assessment, root cause analysis approach. What is the root cause of all this? And I used to tell people that, from my personal experience and research, it is the quest for money.
By who?
Listen.
By who?
The politicians, of course, are not service to the people. The cost of accessing political power in Nigeria is obscene. It's abnormal. It is one that throws up crooks and criminals.
Okay, before we get,
unless you have the money, you may have the ideas, but the platform may not be there for you. And if you want the money, you may have to pander to the perverts of some godfathers, or some, cabals and all the rest. So we are saying, to get us out of all this.
You're saying the desperation is actually motivated
by money,
by greed.
Greed for money.
Okay, now before we get to that,
yes,
never.
Yes,
I stand to be corrected.
Yes,
this is not the first time elections will be shifted, postponed.
Exactly. Yeah.
But never in the history of this country has INEC been so much under pressure.
Yes,
the one that is currently undergoing.
Yes,
so much so that the top officials
yes
of INEC actually fingered as being partisan, as actually working for particular political parties. How did we get to this thing? I mean, how do you, is INEC culpable? What could have actually made people to, instead of confronting each other, they've now shifted the battle to INEC, saying that INEC probably leaked the information about postponement to a particular political party, and several allegations.
Yes.
Why is INEC so much under this pressure?
Okay. Let me say that the stake was raised high under his predecessor. Let's give it to him.
Professor Jega?
Yes. And from there, one will expect that we'll improve on what we've had in the previous, in 2015 election, for instance. And one will also expect that having 4 good years to prepare, there will be that process and that zeal and that passion and that efficient model of being able to project what are the likely problems, what are the likely hitches, what are the likely hurdles, and you will now think about what solutions can we prefer to some of the problems that could likely arise. For instance, he said something about weather condition, and the Minister of State for Aviation said no, that can never be correct. It was in the papers yesterday that it couldn't have been. That even the places they were complaining that materials could not get to, that some other airlines were freely plying those routes, so that it is not tenable. So what we are saying is this: I like the question that you asked. Why the desperation? Why there's so much pressure on INEC? The pressure on INEC is more or less overbearing because Nigerians want free, fair, credible, peaceful elections where their votes count. Democracy is about the people. I used to tell or try to enlighten the younger ones. For instance, most of them think that the type of democracy we practice now, you have to fear your leaders, you have to kowtow to your leaders, you have to worship your leaders. No, it shouldn't be. We are not running a feudal system. We are not running military democracy, a dictatorship. We are running a democratic dispensation in which it is the people's interest. Let me tell you that back in where the democracy really started from, it was in Greece some centuries back. In those days, what used to happen is that the villagers would be brought together. They will be the ones to make the decisions for the leaders at every critical point of what do we do with this challenge. We are looking for a solution. They will not wait for the leaders to foist to bring solutions that will not be favorable to them. But these days, what do you have? The type of democracy that we run here. Okay, maybe I should be more direct. Okay. Yeah.
Do you suspect that INEC is pandering towards the wishes and interests of any political party in all of this?
One has to be very careful to answer that question, because whatever you are going to say, you must have credible evidence. For instance, we have the social media now, and it's pervasive, the effect of it. People just post things that may not be the true thing. Just before we came here, you saw that issue of whether INEC the president has the power to influence INEC to make changes,
to reshuffle the
recs. And I told you that I don't think so, and I don't think the INEC boss is on any pressure from the presidency. I don't think so. So the issues at stake is this. I was trying to bring out that problem of the greed for power and money that is driving the process. If it is, service to the people, altruistic service to the people, sacrificing yourself for the state, just like later President Umar Yar'Adua canvassed service to the people, leadership to the people, not leadership to the self, leadership to the cabal, leadership to the godfathers. No, leadership to the people. But I stand on the issue of the aspect, the way we practice it. I've told you that the cost of accessing political power is too high. So those who have good ideas and don't have the money will never get there if we continue like this. Then the cost of running government, when you have the highest paid legislators in the whole world, it does not help Nigeria to move forward. We cannot move forward with this. The IMF, the World Bank, International Labour Organization, so many other concerned groups, even the economists of London have at one time or the other warned that some of the pay structure they've seen concerning the Nigerian nation cannot be sustained. I hope you understand. So what we are saying is this: let even the leaders listen to the people. Let the wishes of the people be what would drive the process, and not the wishes of just a chosen few.
But you see, the foundation for this discussion was actually premised on free, fair, credible elections.
Yes.
But some wrecks have actually been accused of taking bribe, so to speak, from political from politicians.
Yes, I've heard of
Adamawa is one.
Yeah,
I read that's Barrister Kashim Geda, who has actually denied taking 1 million naira. $1 million bribe from anyone.
And INEC has INEC is supporting him. INEC has come out to say that there was something like that.
Standing by their man.
Yes.
Okay, same in Akwa Ibom.
Yeah.
The reg there, that's Mike Egini, is also being accused of pandering towards a particular political party.
Because
now these are key figures.
Yeah, I understand.
Towards a free, fair, credible elections.
Yes.
If there's so much suspicion, there's that high suspicion against the officials of INEC, are you sure this is not a threat to a credible, free, fair, credible election?
Thank you. Let's look at it this way. Perhaps we should suggest that there should be integrity tests for every person that has.
At this last minute, 3 days.
No. We are looking at a situation.
No, I'm talking of now.
I know.
We cannot shift the election anymore.
We are praying.
No, it will not happen.
We are praying that.
I am optimistic. It will not happen. Are you?
I'm optimistic too.
Are you?
I'm optimistic from what the INEC, chairman has told us. I mean, we are going by what he has said. But going back to your question, the issues at stake are allegations. Let me tell you this. There are some people who, out of desperation to destroy the credibility of the election, have gone out to say things that are not there. So, and I told you that until one has the evidence, you see, allegations may come from an opposition party that is jittery, or that feel that maybe they even thought about doing the same thing and failed. You see, it's all about the angling for power, with all the antics, with all the subterranean forces at play, with all the greed, with all the unwholesome, let me say, obscene, antithetical moves, things that are against the rules and regulations. So as far as I'm concerned, all those allegations are expected. For me, now,
in democracy, or at least peculiar to us in Nigeria.
Well, it's not just in Nigeria. Let me tell you, you can see what is happening in Venezuela now, whereby we have an acting president, and the other, the one that was shifted away, and the world powers have divided, bifurcated. One supporting the acting president, the other one, the other side supporting the former president or the outside president. So these antics play out. But what we are saying is this: don't come to the public sphere to make allegations that are not real, allegations that are not even believable. They are not credible. I mean, I heard about some said $1 million or $1 billion. They were just giving out figures, fantastically fanciful figures that are not even possible. But we were discussing somewhere, and some people say, why do I think that it is not possible? It is not just to grab power. But like I have said, let's give INEC, for now, the benefit of the doubt. And let's all of us support INEC, so that we play our part very well. Come out that day, be peaceful. Don't go about causing, commotion. Don't even make inflammatory statements, hate speech and all the rest. We should forget about such things. You know who you want to vote for. Go out there, discharge your franchise, vote peacefully. If you want to wait and see the result, all well and good. I'm somebody that is not very comfortable with the fact that the president did not sign the electoral amendment bill. It will have gone a long way in increasing the level of credibility of the election. One will still not doubt that some shenanigans will play out anyway, but we are asking all the stakeholders this time around to join hands with INEC so that we can have free, fair, credible, acceptable elections.
So now, if you, I tend to agree with you that some of those statements may be inflammatory.
Yes.
Now, what do you make of the arrests that have been made concerning those who were desperate to actually rig if the election had held February 16? Individuals in certain states have been caught.
Yes.
With ballot papers printed.
Yes.
And so many other forms of acts.
Yes.
Very, very detrimental to the success of that election.
Exactly.
Now, what do you make of it? Do you say INEC should also dismiss that?
No, INEC should not dismiss that. It should have been. This is what I was saying about taking proactive measures, thinking ahead, projecting. Even at the family level, you sit down, with members of your family, maybe at the beginning of the year, you say you are planning for the year, you think about some likely hitches, problems, challenges that could crop up. And then you also think about, the solutions, the likely solutions to them. Maybe you have to save for the rainy day, you have to do one thing or the other, you have to make some sacrifice, you do that. It's just a similar thing. I'm worried about all those things, but they were not unexpected as far as I'm concerned. I knew that some of those things could happen because of the desperation, and that's why someone like me, and I've been on it, I've been canvassing that, can't we have volunteers in government? Can't we have people that are ready to serve Nigeria without the greed for money? Can't we have people, I've been suggesting through the different media, through my opinion essays, I have 2 columns every Sunday, through, the platforms I have online, my WhatsApp, my Facebook, that can't we place politicians on civil salary scale? What is difficult in that? People tell me that it is not possible, the lawmakers will not allow it and all the rest. But then it is telling, it is affecting us negatively. And it is because of this, and the cost of nomination, a high cost of nomination forms, and the cost, you add so many other things to variables, the factors of when you are campaigning, the posters, the media, adverts, paying people that will be doing the legwork for you and all. By the time you do all this, it's not a child's play. It's humongous sums of money we are talking about. So some of us are saying the solution, the way forward, is to de-emphasize money and look for people that are zealous, that are passionate, that are patriotic, that want the best for this country. And I think it's still possible.
All right. I've actually been discussing with Mr. Ayo Oyoze Baje.
Yes. Got it.
There's a president guild of public affairs analysts in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And we've actually been x-raying issues arising from the failed, or let me say the botched National Assembly presidential elections last Saturday. And we're looking forward to a credible, free, fair election come next Saturday. Yeah. How easy that is going to be, how seamless that's going to be, are the issues we're actually looking at. We'll go for a short break now. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion.
Election, they're very important.
But it go come.
and he go.
Nigeria go take it back. Make we no fight for election.
Because now all of us go so para.
Election na do, no be die matter.
Vote, not fight.
Election no be war.
Oh yes, you're welcome. It's still Summit, and my guest has been Mr. Ayo Oyoze Baje, President Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria. I will be discussing 2019 elections, sir. There's a new dimension to the forthcoming elections.
Yes.
The federal government, in the report, saying that there's a kind of searchlight being beamed on embassies. Keeping those embassies under watch over the planned use of parallel vote tally, some form of technology that would help actually expose any form of infractions or anything untoward in these elections. How far can the foreign monitors or observers or foreign institutions go in actually using technology to monitor these elections? Is it legal? Is it not? Let me just put it at it. How far can they go?
Okay. Let's start by saying that Nigeria is a sovereign state. And as much as we will not want to interfere in the affairs of other countries, we also not want them when it comes to an issue as sensitive, as conducting an election. That at least the cycle will be another 4 good years, and we want leaders that will pilot the affairs of the country. But let me say this again, that we are in a global world, global economy, knowledge driven. And part of that knowledge could be very inquisitive. We cannot at one breath divorce ourselves from what happens in the world there, outside there. You recall that the president of the US, Donald Trump, had that accusation that the Russian equivalent had hacked into the system and even influenced the vote and whatever. So I think if we are ready to listen and to act on the piece of advice that was given at one time by former President Barack Obama, when we have institutions that are solid, institutions that are stable, institutions that are sustainable, that can stand on their own and work, whether whoever comes into power, it doesn't matter, the system runs on its own, we will not have this fear, we will not have this worry, this level of anxiety of foreign intervention. I used to tell people that it's a very simple equation, and the equation is very simple. Give us good governance, and you don't need all the level of anxiety, level of desperation, level of more or less political shenanigans that we are having today. If we have okay, just a minute. I'm touching on something. There. As much as we say this, if we have such a good governance in place, we attract foreign investors. For instance, our GDP will rise, employment, wealth creation and generation, of course, it will be on the positive side. That's what we are looking for. That's why some of us have been out there canvassing for good leadership. Now, what one will more or less urge the international community at this level, at this time, is as much as possible, stay neutral. As much as possible, stay neutral. Because some of them, their actions, their utterances, their gimmicks are very suspicious. Some of them know that they will benefit from crisis in Nigeria. Some of them know that they will supply arms to one side or the other if there should be crisis.
God forbid.
And we don't want that. We don't want that. We want a peaceful nation. I mean, after all, the way things are, it is just like I told you that if we have free, fair, credible election as the foundation, we can build a solid house of democracy on it. It just is the same way that it plays out there. What we want now is that if our people are determined to take a look at what is really happening and even make some changes. Let me say this: Nigeria is complex, and the constitution we run, whether people agree or not, cannot give us good governance. The powers at the center are enormous, and they are liable to be abused. You see, we need to develop power. Even look at this INEC issue, for instance. Why can't the local government or states, let that level be the one that
are we right for unbundling INEC?
Why not?
Are you suggesting unbundling INEC?
Yes. The waste report and several reports before that, unbundle INEC. Unbundle INEC. Just we are saying that restructure the country. Have you ever heard of any other democratic government?
Okay, so we actually shift from
where you have state governors going cap in hand to Abuja, to the center, asking for peanuts? No.
Before we shift attention away from the issue of foreign interference,
yes.
Are you saying the federal government or the president has no reason to be jittery about any ICT or any technology-driven innovation towards monitoring this election?
Mr. President has assured us over and over again that he will ensure that there will be free, fair, and credible elections. So why should he be jittery? I don't think he has reason to be jittery. If he has reason to be jittery, then we have to ask why. But why? You see, I think
against the background, just even in your analysis you mentioned, against the background of what happened in the last 2 years elections.
Yes.
As technologically advanced as they are.
Yes.
Yet they are complaining that somebody, some foreign
intervention.
People had invested interest in US elections, hacked the system.
Yes.
So shouldn't a Nigerian agent that they are bringing technology to actually
this is one of the issues that
monitor his elections?
This is one of the issues that INEC ought to have seen as some of the hitches or the hurdles they will have to scale over as far back as 4 years ago. Because it has happened in other countries, even in more advanced countries, they should have thought about it. It's by being proactive, by thinking ahead. That's what we call thinking through. When you think through, you look at all sides. You look at all factors at play. You look at all variables. And then, of course, you know your goal. You know what you want to achieve. Then, if these problems are going to, rear their ugly heads, what do you do? And of course, you have some competent people. But let me say this: it is not impossible that foreign interests will use their more advanced technology to monitor, what's going on here. It is not impossible, but I am just appealing that please, we are a sovereign state. Leave Nigeria to conduct its election. But they will also tell you that if there are no free and fair, or credible elections, and there are problems arising from that they have looked at the population of Nigeria. We are having problems with our IDPs now. So what will even happen when you look at, God forbid, Nigeria having, post-election crisis? That it will be difficult to manage, and that is why they too are showing interest. But as much as they say that, we are still appealing from our own end here that let them be as neutral as possible. Okay,
now one issue that's actually trending in the polity as we speak now is that at his caucus meeting, APC had his caucus meeting, and the president was quoted to have said, anyone found, any ballot snatcher would definitely pay with his life. That is more or less an order to the security agents to ensure that nobody is allowed to snatch the ballot boxes. And if anybody dares to snatch, such individuals or such groups must be ready to lose their lives in the process. A lot of people have actually come out to condemn this more or less directive or this utterance from this, saying that it's unconstitutional. that the Electoral Act is very explicit
Exactly.
on what the anybody that goes or any infraction against the Electoral Act. So what's your position?
My position
Should
is...
the president have said this or not? Or was it in order to have actually said? Whereas on the other hand, people are saying, people are condemning president for saying that, and people who are probably prone to election rigging or who have the tendency to rig or who are planning to rig. How do you see the two sides?
We look at the motive and we look at the method. It's a most unfortunate statement.
Most unfortunate.
Yes. Forget sentiments. You see, we have separation of powers. We have the executive, we have the legislature, and we have the judiciary. That statement impugns or shows or makes people to say that the executive arm wants to take over the power of the judiciary. It should not be. In fact, Transparency International, from the news we are getting today, I've said that that is an execution order. And then saying that, it means that, some people who already have, that is security men, who have it at the back of their mind to be partisan, could go to, if they are supporting one party against the other, they could go to some polling booths, and of course, what do? It is very possible to just shoot.
Open fire.
Yeah, an open fire. And then they will now say the president gave the order. It's not right. The motive is right. That is, don't commit any electoral malfeasance. Don't go against the Electoral Act. But the method is wrong. The president should have even retracted that statement. Please. I don't care what some other people will be saying and jumping and all the rest. The law is there. The Electoral Act spells it out. 500,000 fine or 2 years jail term. So the president or any other person for that matter should not come and override that. We are not in a military dictatorship. This is a government that is based or anchored on the rule of law. The law takes precedence over any other thing that you want to say. So the people that
the presidency has come out to say that directive was actually targeted at the People's Democratic Party. That they was desperate to rig elections, and the only way to actually stop it was to actually issue that threat.
I used to say this. It is very easy if you and I are contesting for a particular thing. Even some things I may plan to do, I will accuse you of doing it. Political shenanigans, intrigues, playing to the gallery, and sometimes wanting public sympathy. See, we have evil-minded people everywhere, in every party. So it is a sweeping statement to castigate a particular party, whether it's APC or PDP, as this or that. You have those who are good, you have those who are bad. But the law, if we all cultivate that culture, that habit of having respect for the rule of law, we are not going to, bother ourselves about some of these things that are taking, the public space. We are not going to. So the president has made that statement, but it's most unfortunate because it can be misinterpreted.
Okay, but if you look at the intensity of the criticisms that have actually come the way of the APC and the president, would you just, does it actually strike you that maybe there was actually, in truth, was actually a plan by some people to rig the elections? Do you in any way suspect as if the president has actually hit the nail on the head? Do you suspect? No, I'm asking, as a Nigerian.
Let me say this, and I say it all over again. There are evil-minded people in each party wanting to get, to power more by crooked means than by hook. Do you understand? One has been witnesses to some things that one will not believe can take place, in a country as big as Nigeria, as we say, we have had some decades of political independence. We have evolved we are in a democracy. We've been in democracy since 1999. With that, of course, yes. It may not. I mean, what I'm saying, the president could have, had some intelligence information. But what I'm saying that it could happen in any party. Don't tell me that it's the PDP alone or the APC alone that is planning to rig. And that is why I've been saying that instead of just looking at the problems, we have to start looking at the solutions, the way forward. And that's why I've been talking about the emphasizing the greed for power, the emphasizing the greed for money. Because if we don't reorder and restructure the polity as it is today, 4 years time we'll still be here saying the same thing, looking at similar things. Look at I wrote a book, Drumbeats of Democracy.
What?
Drumbeats of Democracy.
Drumbeats of Democracy.
It's a celebration of my writings, on how do we have good governance in Nigeria, covering different aspects of our national life, from the leadership question, the economy, food security, corruption, all other aspects of our national life. Is a celebration of my writing for 40 years in different papers, both here in Nigeria and outside, and looking at how do we move forward. The point that is very painful is that things that happened maybe in the 80s, they are still happening now.
Okay, now I know that every candidate in any election is desirous of victory.
Exactly so.
But if you look at the level of optimism that these leading political parties, APC, have expressed over time concerning victory. Now, do you see them accepting, either of them accepting the result of this election if it goes the other way?
No. I'll tell you point blank. I'll be surprised. In fact, it will be like a miracle if any of the party, of the two leading parties, APC or PDP, loses, and like a good man Jonathan did, to accept the election. I don't see that happening now.
No, you are just okay. That's saying that
I don't see if APC loses. I don't see it. I don't see the APC conceding. And if PDP loses, I listened to them yesterday. I mean, they had a live program, and they were also the way they were talking and not the rest. I don't see them
either. The two political.
Yes, I don't see. That's why.
So, what do you advise to avert? Because from what you have just submitted, it's like tending towards a kind of a vote, election that might not be acceptable to the parties.
Yes.
And if the votes or the election results are not acceptable, that is synonymous with crisis.
Yes,
anarchy.
Yeah.
How do we avert this?
Well, I think so good that we've had the peace summit, the peace accord, and all the rest. I think they met twice. Most of the presidential candidates are signatories. They were giving, they read out the tenets of the peace accord, and most of them agreed. They signed that they are going to, but that is on the papers. But what we are seeing outside gives us the fear that they may not accept. If when one party uses, may not accept that. But it is our own duty. For instance, members of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts want good governance. And, from that platform, we are also appealing that if the process is adjudged free and fair and credible, please, we are asking, urging, appealing to all the stakeholders to accept the results so that we can move forward.
What about INEC? Do you not also see the need to actually plead or appeal to INEC, probably to purge itself, quote, towards a free, fair, and credible election?
I think your mind is still going.
No. If there are suspicions, if there are allegations, INEC should probably do a self-assessment again. Do you not think so?
It should. INEC
towards a free and fair election?
INEC should, because
for instance, let me give you one instance.
Yeah.
When Amina Zakari was actually alleged to have been planted by a particular group to favor
a particular,
INEC did very well by actually asking the woman to step aside, and the woman was replaced. So if there are accusing fingers against some of the current maybe rec or maybe the directors and all directors, you have about 3 of them: director of mobilization, director of ICT, director of voter education, and so and so. If there are allegations, is it too much for INEC to actually kind of purge itself, like I said, so that it will be clear that it is actually committed to a free, fair, credible election?
Okay, INEC should play as an unbiased umpire. If it does that, and we hope it does at this level, and given the few days, just to the elections, one would say, yes, I stand with you on this. We're on the same page as far as that is concerned. INEC should do everything humanly possible to ensure that it rids itself of any bad egg. It ensures that if some infractions have been committed, or if some of its members have been involved in one shenanigan, and I think some were even apprehended, and they've been subjected to the process of the law. And I thank INEC for that. If there are still more, let INEC muster that the INEC boss, for instance, that courage in the national interest to do away with such people.
Okay. What do you advise us voters? Because it's about us.
Yes, it's about us.
Yes. Do you see people probably exercising or maybe entertaining any fear of any attack or any violence? And then what do we tell our voters so that they'll come out? We've always talked about voter apathy.
Yes.
Have we actually shared that to our voter apathy? Are people actually convinced to go forward come Saturday to elect a leader? Because I've heard it in several fora. What actually fuels rigging is voter apathy, where people don't come out to vote. Certainly gives kind of vent to those who want to rig.
I'm very grateful to you that you have asked this question. You see, we have gotten to a level where we have to urge Nigerians to see this as one of their civic duties, to come out on that Saturday and freely vote for the candidates of their choice without fear or favor. We are saying that yes, the postponement in some instance may have even added to that level of apathy that people have talked about. Something happened way back in September 2018. I was one of the local observers, with an NGO, Women Arise for Change Initiative. I was there at Osun for the election. Let me tell you that the governorship election, and as an independent observer, somebody that all I wanted was what was going to happen, I was highly impressed from what I saw, until the real shock of being told that it was declared inconclusive. The turnout was massive everywhere we went, and I think it is possible to still have that. So we are telling Nigerians that if you want good governance, if you want government that is accountable to the people and not to a cabal and not to a select few and not to a few set of people, power poachers, if you want government that is answerable to you, you must come out and vote for your candidate. You should not feel, entertain any fear that maybe somebody is going to shoot you or this. So far you conduct yourself in a very civil manner, in such a way that don't make statements that will cause chaos. Whoever you want to vote for, you have that as a secret. It's within you.
Don't buy vote, don't sell vote.
Don't buy vote. Vote buying is bad. So I've told people, when you buy vote, the vote buying or you sell vote or whatever, you are bringing a curse on you, on yourself. You may not know it. You are bringing a curse on yourself. Can you sell that vote? Do you know the word? It is limitless. You are talking about the future. You are building a future that we're talking about Nigeria in the future, that will have good governance, that will have stable power supply, that will have access to credit facilities when you want, that you have quality education, that you have healthcare delivery that is acceptable, that is accessible, that anybody can pay for. We are looking for all this, and they are basic things, and the money is there. Let me just tell you. But it's unfortunate that the system we run favors the few.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo Oyoze Baje,
yes,
the President Guid of Public Affairs Analysts in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We sincerely want to thank you for your time, sir, and for your deep analytical presentation here.
Thank you very much.
You show yourself as a true Nigerian.
Thank you.
That is, you so much interested in the corporate entity of this country.
Exactly.
The project called Nigeria.
Exactly.
So you are looking forward to a free, fair, credible election.
Exactly.
Come Saturday.
And we are praying
so
for
am I here. I'm looking forward to a free, fair, credible election. And there so are genuine, very patriotic Nigerians. That this election is about us, and we must not fail. It must succeed. We must come out of it a free, very, very happy, and an election that will actually move us forward as a nation. So go out, vote, don't buy vote, don't sell vote, vote according to your conscience. Come Saturday, 23rd February 2019. My name is Banjibu Sari. I need to sincerely thank you for being there, for being part of this program. Monday is yet another day after the election, but be sure that we'll actually give you the update concerning the elections across the country on that day. Yes. Bye-bye. See you again on that day.